Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the introduction. Once again, my name is Nafaa, and I'm one of the CEO and one of the co-founders for FireSafe AI. Before we get started, I would like to present or say a land acknowledgement. We're grateful to those whose territory we reside on or are visiting. Treaty 6 was entered into in 1876. For almost 150 years, we have been living, working, and growing on this land. That is the ancestral and traditional territory of the Cree, Dakota Sioux, the Dene, and the Saulteaux, as well as the Métis and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations. We acknowledge this land is also within the historical Northwest Métis homeland, which includes the North Saskatchewan River Territory, the Lesser Slave Lake Territory, and the Lower Athabasca Territory. We acknowledge the traditional knowledge keepers, elders, both past and present, and are grateful for their contributions that helped keep this land beautiful. We make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation. So we're excited to chat about FireSafe, but more than anything, it's a community and ecosystem that helps businesses grow. For ourselves, we got two major partners in RescAlert and AB Mobile, both local partners and local businesses that help us grow and expand our offerings. But more importantly is the champions that exist in the ecosystem. Technology Alberta, thank you once again for having us here alongside Alberta Innovates, the Community Accelerator Fund, as well as various programs and opportunities that have been presented to us. But getting to the meet and greets, what is our story? FireSafe was born when myself and my co-founder, who's also my younger brother, personally experienced the devastation loss of friends and family to a wildfire that happened back home for us. Together, we made a pivot. Previously, we were in the ag tech sector, using AI to help indoor agriculture and optimizing the growing environments. But with that personal impact, we made a change and we really started looking into the wildfire problems that exist and effectively focusing towards mitigation and early detection. With that, we've leveraged decades of experience in technology, AI, and systems development to create a simple, easy to use, and a turnkey solution for municipalities and various endeavors. So who do we work with? Industry, utilities, oil and gas, very major, especially with their operations and critical assets that are in at-risk areas. Professionals, so fire professionals, those that are responding. Insurance and risk assessors. As you know, more and more risk. We're seeing premiums going on after every major wildfire that goes through and being able to work with them to help reduce premiums where possible. Finally, the government, the communities. We're happy to be working with a number of organizations here locally in Alberta, such as the town of Hinton, the municipal district of Bighorn just outside Calgary, and also Beaver County and the surrounding communities. But why now? As you've probably seen, LA wildfires, global wildfires, is causing economic loss globally. There's an increased frequency of wildfires, and there's also a shift towards proactive management. And as we mentioned, there's a changing dynamic in regards to the insurance industry. As a result, there's solutions that are needed right now, and the adage prevails. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. In general, within the US and Canada, we've spent $7 billion in 2023 alone to fight the wildfires, not just mitigation activities, but actively engaging and fighting. With that, we're seeing an average cost in the US of $56,000. California, as you're aware, 121, the most recent wildfires up into the millions and even billions of dollars. And Alberta, 2023, when the Jasper wildfire happens, we were on average spending $1.38 million per fire to mitigate the activities and fight them. So with all this, what technology is at our fingertips? And what are the advancements in wildfire solution and mitigations? Well, before we get to that, what we really aim to do when we were looking for the solution is identifying the common pain points. So some of the major things that come through are limited staff, expensive solutions, increasing weather severity, slow deployment, and low image resolution. With FireSafe, what we really aim to do is solve those critical areas by providing 24/7 operations, providing current integrations to current system to reduce costs, providing multi-layer image and weather analysis, and a way to rapidly deploy and detect. And finally, the use of AI to detect those ignition events and fire sources. Through that, the aim as a business is to resolve one of these 6 areas, whether it's building community trust, reducing overhead costs, or identifying the wildfire risk areas. Those are things that communities are looking for and actively addressing. So the FireSafe platform, what is combined? One, we have the service-based platform. The other is the hardware. The service platform, web platform at this stage, is leveraging artificial intelligence and machine learning to aggregate, connect, and make relevant actionable insights into the data. The hardware, as you're aware, is what allows us to identify, respond, and communicate what's going on in the situations and what's going on in an ignition event. The service platform itself is using multi-source image analysis. We have tiered alerting. We're working with current and historic weather, as well as providing that wildfire risk profiling. As you probably all know, garbage in, garbage out. Doesn't matter if it's good or not, but you might have something tangible at the end that looks clean, that looks usable, but ultimately, if you don't have good data, you're not getting good results. And that's very true for any artificial intelligence or machine learning operations. For ourselves, what we're really aiming to do is data fusion. We go through multiple layers, everything from weather, topology, vegetation, and precipitation. Use that data, put it through a multimodal AI, and then provide actionable insights. Now, I want to take a bit of a segue. I'd love to go into the details of everything that we do and talk about the neural nets we're building and how we've set things up. But for all of those here that are looking to build a business, build AI, use it in a tangible way, there is considerations that you need to make for your IP. Presenting this to you guys, I'm happy to share. I'm on one-on-one. If we can sign an NDA, fantastic. We can go into the depths. But in a general presentation for myself and for other businesses, you do have to consider what we're disclosing, especially on our part, since we're maintaining trade secrets. With this is for your knowledge, and I'm happy to share it with you at any time. Please go back to this presentation. But if you're building a solution, identify where you are and where you're ensuring public disclosure. So whether that's you going out and making a presentation, publishing a paper about a specific item, be cognizant of what you're disclosing. And with the U of A, they have a fantastic innovation department. If you're unsure, go speak with them. Get reference. Know what's available to you. In most cases for ourselves, we're maintaining our public disclosure behind the wall. So the specifics of the model architecture, what data we're processing, the trained models, et cetera, we maintain trade secrecy, both to protect our competitive advantage, but also ensure that as we grow, as we go through, we can create those patents and ultimately then be able to talk about it in more detail. With that in mind, the conversation that we're going to have is a little bit more high level, but still relevant to why you're all here today. How is AI being used? What is AI really good at? Three things that we've identified: data analysis, pattern recognition, and image recognition, right? At this point in stage, we're working towards agentic AIs, which is fantastic. We're working towards the use of more than general intelligence and general AI that thinks like us. But ultimately, it's still processing data much better than we are. And that's where you've got to leverage it and put it into its uses. Within the wildfire space, data analysis is key. What information is coming in? As I mentioned, we have multiple segments at the high level, but we have over 100 parameters and layers that we go through in identifying what is relevant. That data analysis and putting in the information is critical. One of the use cases, especially with NLP being a significant impact, is, and this is also relevant to our Indigenous history, the history that exists within the community, within the elders. Being able to take an oral history and those reports and those thoughts and translate it into contextual data that can be used within the platform and add value to the insights is one of the processes and functions that we look with our platform. In terms of applications in industry, Rescuer, our partner, is an emergency response notification and aggregation platform. One of the things that they do is they use social media for community and sentiment analysis. Relevant to us in the event that there's a wildfire is identifying the changing patterns, people that are at risk, and being able to communicate that to responding authorities, and also being able to take that information of location of people and apply it to how they can evacuate, how they can move through. Internally, your data analysis and pattern recognition, which is relatively straightforward, is the use of artificial intelligence and the specific models. I really want to go into the depth of it. I apologize when I talk about it. But effectively, that consistency, identifying incorrectness or that data that doesn't align, flagging it, and in turn, allowing our team to go in, either improve or remove it completely. And doing this in an automated fashion so we can process faster and get to results faster. Report ingestion, as mentioned, the historic use of Indigenous knowledge is critical. There's a lot of history that exists there. But even more so, a lot of the reports that communities and industries use are typewritten. Some of it is from the 1950s. Some of it is from the 60s. So taking that information and using it now to see the historic trends is critical. Ultimately, the pre-processing, as I mentioned, and the intention flagging is a core feature of what we do to ensure that relevancy is always consistent and alignment with current and standard models also exists. The other factor, the detection. So image recognition. Image recognition usually falls into three categories: your classifier, your detector, and your segmenter. Each of those can be used individually, but as part of a multimodal usage, you're able to get a lot more value out of it. With us, as mentioned, we have a hardware system. The hardware system is the mobile towers. We're able to deploy this, get eyes for any smoke, fire, or ignition events such as environmental triggers. Training that so that alerts is fantastic, but it's the use of the image classification and the labeling that allows us to really optimize and identify what's going on. As you can see, I'll see if I can play this. There we go. What we've ended up doing is being able to use image classification towards video and allow for live processing of sequences. From there, the use of vision transformer models, we're able to identify and with confidence certain events such as flame, smoke, and even thermal and IR imaging at distance for these ignition events. One of the nice things is we've trained on 150 million images of fire. Now you ask yourself, how did you find 150 million, not dollars, 150 million images of fire? It's not just that. It's the events that don't happen. What we're looking for is abnormality. Ultimately, that abnormality needs to trigger, but we also need to have images of consistency, things where nothing is happening, where it's continuous, just static imagery, same environment. That is just as important as triggering or training for an anomaly to show, such as a flame, such as the smoke, or a lightning strike. Oh, exactly. One more time, just so I can repeat it. Exactly. Yeah, so we're doing nowcasting for the image detection, but the risk scoring is beforehand. What is the potential risk? What are the fuel loads? What is the ignition spots to be aware of? One of the core things as well with image recognition is segmentation. When we were just talking about this in regards to how do you assess for the potential risk? One of the things that we do is take satellite imagery, drone imagery, and even aerial surveillance and segment it. The different layers that we look at include vegetation, humans, impact, so sort of roadways, clearings, even paths in the forest, campgrounds. And finally, through the various levels, going from high-level satellite, which gives you 30-meter to 30-meter resolution per pixel in best cases, down to drone imagery, which gives you up to centimeter resolution. We're able to better layer and add significance to each of the information points that we're putting through. Ultimately, the segmentation allows us to profile for activities. In most cases, when it comes to wildfire, it's a human-driven event that results in ignition. Whether that's a power line that's operating in an area and a tree falls over. Human impact. Could be somebody that's going through the woods, driving through their ATV, they backfire, spark, and now all of a sudden you have a grass fire that expands. And in most cases, industries with this happening, the at-risk areas for industry are their own operations. So protecting their critical infrastructure is necessary, but oftentimes they're also the cause of their own damage. All this then, as mentioned, filters into the alerting, the notifications. Being able to take information, respond quicker, results in better outcomes. Stopping a wildfire when it's only a few hundred meters versus acres upon acres of land is significant, both in time, resources, and life. Getting that urgent dispatch is important and is the critical kind of end function, outcome, and output for our platform. Ultimately, AI is really aiming to provide value across the spectrum. Ourselves, we focused in regards to the understanding of the situation, as well as that early detection, but there's a spectrum of value that can be provided. As mentioned, NLP usage in regards to sentiment analysis is a growing and burgeoning area for enterprise and for community responders. The ability to actively plan and resource and distribute their equipment to at-risk areas is an opportunity that exists. Artificial intelligence is allowing people to bridge that gap and provide that value faster, reduce resources. So for you guys out there looking at ways to apply AI, look at the benefit that comes through for those organizations ultimately. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening to me.